worries.
Okay, cool. It's recording. There will be music in the video. You shouldn't be able to hear it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. And then let's start out kind of just do a background, catch up on some of the stuff we just talked about. Uh,
Yep.
so you have played before, but this account itself just finished KVK 5,
Yep.
right? You migrated around, but you haven't repeated a KVK. So obviously it's a younger account, 146 ID.
Yep.
Then you yourself are a mid spender. You select crystal pop ups, like one mountain warfare, about that range during KVK.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'd say yeah, the mid spender. Yep.
okay. Do you buy like dailies?
Sometimes for like the recharge events and
Mm,
alliance mobilization and that sort of stuff, but not
okay. Okay.
daily.
So not consistently, but sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, oh, sorry. And obviously, I have permission to record, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Okay, so yeah, so let's go over this. So, in general, some of the stuff I think, like I just kind of asked before we started recording, was just like, what's your goal in, say, a year and a half? And you said like a competitive low A, high B seed kingdom
Yep.
that's well organized. So some of the tactics you can actually be a part of that,
Yeah, for sure.
right? Okay. So having said that, I'll give you my impression when I first see this account. So a lot of times, like, especially after making YouTube for a while, dealing with like answering people's questions, and then even people reaching out for mentoring, right? The way they communicate, how timely they are when they do answer your questions, like the amount of thought and detail that goes into the questions. Uh, what I found is there's generally a high correlation with that. It's I don't want to say never, even though I can't think of one off the top of my head. I don't think
Yeah.
I've ever gotten something back from someone where I feel like, hey, like they responded in a timely, organized manner. It was easy to deal with them, and then their account sucked. Like it's just not a thing,
Yeah.
right? Like maybe whereas I've had the opposite experience when it's like I could tell you what I think someone's account's going to be like just based on the way they message me, like how they respond. Uh,
Yeah.
and when it's let's see, I'm trying to choose my words. When it's not particularly clear or effective, I think their
Yeah.
account reflects that. Okay, so and the
Yeah.
reason why I'm saying this is because you were actually really really easy to deal with. Right,
Cool.
so um, I already think you probably had it like did a good job of managing your account. So this account just finished KVK 5, uh, and you took it over halfway through KVK 3.
Yeah.
Okay, what was the KP at when you took it over?
About 150 mil.
Okay, and then how much did you get in KVK 4 and 5?
So KVK 4 was a bit of a weird one. Our kingdom did what they called a fun KVK.
Oh god, okay.
Um,
Was it fun?
yeah. No, not at
Okay.
all.
Okay. Okay.
And that it killed the kingdom pretty much. Like heaps of people
Uh,
left.
oh
So
yeah.
I think I got maybe 120-ish mil from that one, and then I
Okay.
got about 500 mil from KVK 5.
Okay. Okay. And then let's actually go over your equipment. Okay, so right now you're running 2 marches. You're looking to run a third one,
Yeah.
right? Based on the spending, and I assume like you're comfortable with that amount of spending a month, ish.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, like, well, it's why I say comfortable. Like, sometimes, like, when you actually think about it, like, oh, I'm spending this much a month on the game. You're like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah. I don't want
But
to
you're
think
gonna,
about
yeah, but
that.
when you're used to it, like I just mean like you're probably gonna be spending around that much as long as you're playing the game. Okay.
Yeah,
Uh,
for sure.
based on your spend, I would say probably the what you want to shoot for and seeding you want to compete in. I would say like
Yeah.
3 or 4 marches. Probably eventually 4 is where you probably want to end up, right? Because just talking to you, it seems like uh, you want to be like near the like upper echelon in a competitive organized KVK, right?
Yeah, for
Whereas
sure.
like if
Yeah.
we put you in like the top of the top Imperium in 2 years, a year and a half, you would just be like another another like regular peon on the field along with everyone else. I don't think that necessarily appeals to you.
No,
But
yeah, that's for sure.
yeah,
Like, I'd like to make a bit of a feel like I'm making an impact on the field would be a good thing.
yeah. So I would say like 3 or 4. Now, one of the questions you asked was, okay, when do I move on to the next set instead of making my set good enough? Um,
Yeah,
if you're looking to do low A, high B, both of these sets on the screen is like more than good enough.
yeah,
Like another way to think about it is, okay, let's just say we'll take this calf set, right? Because you have 2 crit here, right? Let's
yeah,
just say you get everything here. Let's just say you don't crit anymore, right? Because you're gonna work on the awaken first. You get everything here to awaken, say like 4, right? So you have full awaken 4, 2 crits, right? The amount of mats and blueprints you'll need, right? Because you need 2 blueprints each, or 3. Well, yeah, 2 blueprints each. Just and then never mind the mats just to get there, and then versus the actual stat increase, what can you actually take that and put, like how far can you get on your 3rd archer set instead of investing that to upgrade your calf set by X amount, right?
yeah,
And really the answer is you get the biggest bang for your buck when you craft a new piece of equipment, right?
yeah,
Because it's like, okay, well, it's only 10 or 15 mats in a blueprint to upgrade a Awaken 2. Yeah, but you're getting like 2% health, like at the best possible outcome from Ash of the Dawn, right? Which is actually good because
yeah,
that's first one you upgraded to Awaken 2 on your Cav.
yeah,
Right? Right, but like, or else you look at everything else. It's like, especially like the Awaken 3 is like true capacity. It's literally like you breathe on someone, they lose 500 troops, right? Like
yeah,
it's just very very minimal. So it's
yeah,
for most people, Beyond Awaken 2 is a trap. Right
yeah,
now, I actually have like a Awaken 3, I think like Hope Cloak, because the off season, the last one was like 3 months, and I thought I was gonna go crazy. I'm like, let me just spend it on something just so I don't go crazy. Like, but I knew that wasn't, quote unquote the best play. But it's just something where I'm like,
yeah,
screw it. I have so many of these saved up. Let me just upgrade some just so like at least I feel like I'm doing something with my account. But for
yeah.
you,
It's hard to keep holding it.
yeah, long-winded way of saying this. Looking at your account right now, um, I think you should finish your 3rd archer set. I mean,
Yeah,
this 3rd set, and then from there, really like besides the boots, I wouldn't move anything past Awaken 2. Right, you could actually go to the 4th set, work everything to at least Awaken 2, and then go to the 4th set. Right,
yeah,
but like in general, there's a couple of exceptions. Like I just can't remember off the top of my head, like between going for a crit or Awaken or past Awaken 2. But in general, I think the order is Iconic Crystals Awaken 1, you get Awaken 2, then you crit it, right? If you don't have a natural crit, and then you go
yeah.
beyond Awaken 2. Just because the
Uh,
amount of stats you get per material spent, it starts going down dramatically,
yeah,
right?
yeah, for sure.
Okay, now as far as your archer equipment, if you what actually sorry, I didn't look up which kingdom are you in right now?
3178.
3178. Okay, you guys just finished KVK 5.
Yeah.
Okay, what seeding would you say your kingdom is?
We're currently mid A.
Okay, but it's a newer kingdom that just experienced KVK outside the bubble for the first time. Okay,
Yeah,
okay, yeah. So the power is like upper mid A. It could even be considered close to high A, depending on if you guys actually had to do the domain system, what you guys did with that. And then the KP is like lower mid A to low A, right?
yeah,
So the so unless you just get this is in my opinion really unlucky, you just get kind of like included in say like a KVK like the 1093 961, right? They just kind
yeah,
of throw like a kingdom with your profile in there and then put like 4 kingdoms in one camp or something. Unless you're fighting at that level, I think when you're crafting your archer set, fill the rest of this out right now with epic,
yeah,
right? So revival helm, revival greaves, flame treads, the golden age. Now you already crafted
yeah,
the gloves. I actually would have just said do the gloves first because the by far the most important one to upgrade from epic to legendary is the chest.
Yeah.
Right, and then because that like, you know, there's what the color of the equipment looks like, right? But from a stat, like getting the best stat you can, once you have an epic chest, with, I mean, not epic, a legendary chest with like all epic, like that thing would be good to go fighting. Like if you found another kingdom at your seeding, you will be more than competitive. Right? It comes down to a lot of other stuff. Doesn't mean you'll be the best, but you'll be more than competitive, right? And then from there, if you want to fill it out, you can.
Yeah.
Okay. It's good that you have this flag here, right? Just because if we took away the color of the accessory, and you tell someone like, hey, you know, I don't right now you don't have a crit, but if you had a crit, it's like 6.5% march speed. Like, how valuable would that be for an accessory? I would take the 6.5% march speed for archer over any epic accessory, and honestly, for archer, I probably would value it as much, maybe even more than a horn. Right now, now the thing with the horn is, once you put an iconic crystal in it, you can start upgrading more. Like, just the amount of actual stats you get on top of the rage engine starts like outweighing that. But if you have like an uncrit, no iconic crystal horn, and you gave me a 6.5% flag to put on, let's just say I'm running like ZL Herman or Herman YSG, which, you know, the YSG with the ZL doesn't have march speed, I would take the march speed.
Yeah.
Okay, so that kind of should give you an idea where you should go for the equipment to fill that out. I do think you should actually move on from your first two sets right now and move on, right? Just because.
What
Go ahead.
What accessory would you recommend to go as well then?
For the
On the archer one.
For the archer. So
yeah, would you go like a ring or a horn or first?
Okay, so I would do ring first, but like for you, since you already have a dagger, and don't worry, I crafted a dagger in KVK too. Whenever, you know, I was able to craft a legendary accessory, it behooves you to actually have another dagger on you, right? So the way it works is you have a 30% chance to put a stack of the 5% health debuff, right? And then you have 3 seconds to reapply it, or else it's going to fall off. So this thing only really gets to be like fully maximized when you get 3 stacks on there, which is 15%. Right now, to get 3 stacks on there, if you only have one, I forgot the exact number, but I want to say about okay, all right. This is the part where I can't remember but I remember it was low enough where it's not worth it. Where I want to say about 60% of the time, you'll get from 1 stack to 2 stacks, right, within 3 seconds. So you have three shots to do it, and then to get from 2 stacks to 3 stacks, you have about 60%. So if you, I don't know if you follow basketball, you think about like a 60% free throw shooter, right, making 2 shots, two shots at the free throw line. The chances, you know, are like 50-50, about 50-50, right, or worse actually. So once you get to two daggers, and this is what the number I'm familiar with, 89% chance every 3 seconds to apply. So if you think like 9 out of 10 times within 3 seconds, if you have 2 daggers hitting someone, you'll add an extra stack. Like, it's consistent enough where you'll be able to maximize it. So the dagger, what I tell people is, you either craft a dagger, you either craft 2 daggers or don't craft it at all.
Okay.
Right. So right, because like in a 15% health debuff, it depends on a couple of factors, but if you do 15%, think like for infantry, you're talking about like a 7% like all damage taken increase, and then if you're talking about cav, maybe like lower like 6, maybe like high 5%. You know, because it just depends on how much health and how much stats you're getting from armaments and other sources. But in general, think about that range, right? Whereas like if you just have 1 stack, like a 5% health debuff, it actually gets lower because it kind of scales up, right? Because the more you're reducing someone's health, the amount of damage you're taking actually goes up, not linearly like a line, but it actually is more like a parabola, right? Just because that's how the stats work. So if you're doing a 5% health debuff, just getting 1 stack, I would take a lot of other accessories over it. Okay, so maybe
Okay, cool.
maybe you don't want to do it for this third one, if you know you're gonna move on to a fourth set, but
Yeah,
because of the way you're set up here, I personally I would do a ring next, keep the flag, and then when
yeah.
I get on the fourth set, the first thing I craft will actually be a dagger. So I
All
started
right,
getting
cool.
that I started getting that into the lineup. Right now, having said all that, again, don't necessarily feel bad about this. If you could go back, I'm like, I would actually just not craft the dagger because like for 4 marches, you know, I probably just wouldn't have done it. But it's not like that. It's not a big mistake or anything. You know, it's more like
Yeah,
a preference. Just like I probably would rather just get 4 rings and then like 4 horns on there, right? Versus 4 rings and 2 daggers and 2 horns, something like that.
yeah.
Okay. Now for the armaments, uh, I assume you got lucky and you pulled this invincible, right?
Yeah,
Kind of hate
yeah,
you.
just
Damn.
yeah, yeah.
I have not pulled anything, so we'll see how this pity system goes. For the
It's
armaments,
taken me 40 rerolls to get usable though, so if that makes you feel any better.
40 rerolls. Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, that's either really unlucky or you were doing something not mathematically advantageous.
Yeah.
That's
What to get the triple stat took that long, so
oh really? Yeah, because it's a little over 80%. If you have 10 rolls, right, and we have the transmutation crystals now. So if you lock
yeah.
2 and then you're rolling for the third stat, it's a little over 80% chance that in 10 rolls, you'll get the third stat. Now I'm not saying it's
Yeah.
going to be good. It could be 1.5. You'll get the third stat. But if
Yeah.
it took you 40,
Yeah.
you had to be really, really, really unlucky, right? Because you have
Yeah.
80% chance, and then you have another 80 something percent chance. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was painful, but we
Okay.
got there.
Okay. Now, as far as your stats, right? So KVK4 is a wash, and it's really, really common, which is why we're doing like I'm doing migration now. Part of the thing I've been emphasizing is we want to start at least like putting some eyeballs on younger players, right? Even if they can't contribute now, they could grow into something more. So like opening that line of contact, letting them know like, hey, like it's not just you need to be like X amount of power, X amount of KP for us to consider you. There's a huge range.
Yeah.
It like 500 mil in KVK 5 is like way above average, right? I think there's like a skewed perception of what like averages, what above average, below average is for KP
Yeah.
from YouTube, and just like everyone's like a keyboard warrior. They'll just talk about whatever they're doing, say like I don't know, like the Rise of Kingdoms Facebook group, Reddit, or whatever, right? And in reality, like what percentage were you when you got 500 mil KVK 5, like in the end of the season thing? Like were you top like 99%?
I think I was 96%, yeah.
Oh yeah, so like you did better than 96% of the people in your KVK, but 500 mil, like people literally will like talk down on it. What only 4% of the people in your KVK is doing that, what are the other 96% of the people doing, right? So it's good to actually ground yourself and just kind of get the reality of it. If you want to do more, that's fine, but like it's this thing where if you're not really even sure where you're at, like really like sure where you're at, it's hard to because then it's hard for you to even set proper goals and shoot for it. Like if somehow someone got 500 million like KVK 4 or 5, right? Which is really like the first KVKs where for most people they can really even open up and start getting that achievement, just because it takes time to catch up to the end game commanders, get your equipment and stuff to a good enough place to compete with them.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? Like, but if you don't think that's pretty good, it's like a good progression, and you start trying to tweak this and that because you think something's wrong, a lot of times you're actually doing stuff to set yourself back. So I do want to help like ground you that 500 mil and you took over this account midway through KVK 3 with like 100 something mil KP, right? Like that's actually a good progression. You probably could have done it a little bit earlier. If you took over the account earlier and you had more fighting in KVK 4. right? Like if you were playing this account from the beginning and yeah, fighting KVK4, I'm sure you could have done it KVK4. It would have been a grind, but I think you could have done it.
Yeah, cool.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah. Now, as far as what you should work on, should you work on William Wallace or should you pivot to archers?
Yeah,
Right.
I've got about 310 golden heads to spend, so yeah, that's sort of my next
Okay. Do you
thing.
know about how much gold heads you're gaining per month? Have you ever like kind of guesstimated or looked into that?
Yeah, I looked at the other day. So when I got Joan to 5515, that was using all my gold heads, and I did that a month ago. So I've got about sorry, I did that on the 4th of June, so nearly 2 months ago, sorry.
Okay. And you said you're at 3 something?
Yeah, 320 now.
320, so a little less than 2 months. Okay, so
Yeah.
you're getting like we'll just say you'll probably get like what? Because you have like 6 more days. 320. So let's just say you're getting like somewhere about 170 per month.
Yeah.
Okay. And are you spinning the wheel? Like, what are you actually doing as far as
Yeah,
accumulating
so
these
I've
gold?
100 spinned for William Wallace.
Uh-huh.
And then I will be probably doing 100 spin for Archer as well. But I don't really worry for Cav and
Yeah.
leadership at the moment.
Yeah. 170 a month. If you're 100 spinning, that number is going to go way higher. It becomes really, really chain intensive, and it starts taking away from you doing equipment.
Yeah.
Which is why, let's see, based on your spend and where your equipment is at.
Because I've also got Skippy expertise, which I have him currently benched. So for a fourth march, I was sort of thinking I could go into infantry again, but
yeah. Yeah, so for you, and this isn't, I don't think this is official yet. I think you'll start seeing a video. I'm not going to make a video about this just because I didn't discover this. Big Kane did.
yeah.
But William Wallace, his third skill, when you hit a target with a smite damage over 1,000 damage factor, right? You're supposed to boost that by 40%. Now, I've been advocating running Lucia primary. Everyone wants to hype up the smite tree. I think like open fielding, rage manipulation is very overrated. But like boosting 5 targets, Lucia skill, getting 40% extra damage is very, very powerful. Now, Big Kane discovered, just looking at reports, that skill, unless they change it somehow, which they probably won't, that skill actually only increases the smite damage to 1 target. It makes it significantly weaker, and I would actually probably advocate running William Wallace primary because of that. Right? Because every additional target you hit, right, the damage factor goes down by 15%. So like if you have a 1,000 damage factor, 5 target AoE, and you hit 2 targets, that actually becomes 850 to both targets, right? If you're hitting a 3rd target, you're actually hitting doing 700 to 3 targets. Right now, what this skill, what it seems like it's doing is actually it's just picking one of the targets that it's hitting. So let's say you hit 3 targets, you're doing 700. Now 700 is the only one that's getting a 40% boost. That makes it really like so much weaker for a AoE commander, and you actually want that on a single target commander, right? Because boosting 700 damage factor by 40% versus boosting 1,000 damage factor, which is if you're doing a single target by 40% like consistently, you actually want that as a primary. If that's the case, I saw the reports, and then like it actually shows that only the secondary target got increased. I know he did ask VIP to verify that, and I'm telling you all this because if that is the case, then I think Lucia William Wallace is going to be an upgrade over Lucia Alex or Lucia Scipio, but not as good as I think. Right? It's still going to be better, but it's kind of like maybe before I thought it was going to be like 20% better, and now it'll probably be like somewhere between like 5 to 10% better, maybe closer to 10.
Yeah.
Right. So
that's good. Yeah, cool.
Yeah. So let's just pretend it's 10% better. Okay. If it's 10% better, and given where you're at right now, I think it's for sure you like if you want to work on Hermit, right? You want to at least get Hermit to 5551.
Yeah, right? That's the other option. Yeah, with the head, do that and then start working on ZL.
I wouldn't work on ZL because and actually I would kind of wait to see what the next archer is.
True.
Right, because your equipment's not there yet. So let's just say right now you're focusing more on getting gold heads, right?
Yeah.
Realistically, when will you be able to complete your set if you just do full epic, right?
So I've already done the helm since I spoke to you.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, so I've done that. I reckon I can probably do it. Like we're doing max skips for KVK as well, so I think I'd be able to get it done for next KVK.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, then I would do 5551 Herman, YSG, and then you just run that Archer March out there, and then save the rest. Right, because now you're maintaining that flexibility. I do think when you are gonna run 3 or 4 marches, especially, honestly, even if you're running like 5, right? At some point, you just want to run all max commanders. You know, I know they're like, oh, most of the value's there for Joan, like most of that, but there's still like her expertise is okay, right? Her third skill is okay, but like getting those maxed out, like you still get, you know, because you're running not 5, 6, or 7 marches. You want to be able to like get the quality of those marches a lot better. So at some point, you still want to finish Joan, right? So the order for you, I think, would be 5551 Herman. And then wait, and then when you find out what the next archer is, then you have like some flexibility. Like if it's maybe by the way, Herman YSG actually is pretty good. It's I don't think a lot of people talk about it, right? Like you talk about parents and stuff. I don't hear people talk about. I used it for the first time this last KVK, and it actually traded very well. Did a lot of damage. It's a good march. It actually, in my opinion, brought YSG back because YSG with ZL for me, it's almost like very boom or bust. Like you get caught out of position, your trades are horrible, right? But if you're not targeted and then you're in like some situation where you don't get targeted, even though it feels really slow, then the trades are amazing. So it's like a very boom or bust feeling like March, providing you're not in something like Orleans where you get a lot of March speed and you know, but just like more like a regular KVK. ZL YSG to me, I wouldn't call it unusable, but the March speed really shows up. Whereas a Herman YSG did way better. It was way more consistent. It actually was like kind of fun to use. Like I actually wouldn't be mad running that March for a while.
All right, cool. Right. I've got him double relic as well. So
yeah, perfect. Good. Yeah, because like YSG before, I'm like, oh dude, this guy's like cooked. But now it's crazy because it's almost like a second revival for YSG. You have to get some kind of skill damage or a smite damage increase on your march, or else it can't keep up with the other marches, right? So YSG, he's very universal in that way, and especially in like artifact KVK, him behind Joan or him behind Nevsky, I actually makes that march perform even better than just Nevsky Joan. It's kind of crazy how that works.
Yeah.
You know, so even if you don't end up using him with Archer, you can always like pair him like behind like somewhere else at some point, probably.
Yeah, cool.
Right, so yeah, so you know, use a little bit of gold heads, get your Herman to 5551, and then you just kind of save up. By the time you find out where the next Archer is, you should be like close. I would guess like probably about like 600 gold heads. Right. Actually, no. You'll be over 700 because if you're only using enough to get Herman to 5551, right? That's like about 150-ish that you're using. You'll have like roughly 170 left, and then you have essentially about I'm gonna guess like 2 months until you find out what the archer is, right? So let's just say
Which
you're
is
doing
pretty much right as we're going to KVK, I think. Yeah.
oh wow, okay, you guys are max skipping. Dude, I hate
Yeah.
the long off season. Okay, so then if that's the case,
don't worry.
yeah, if that's the case, in 2 months when you find out, you'll have about like a little over 500 gold heads saved up, right?
Yeah.
And then like that point, like, you know, you max spin a wheel, that's about 90 gold heads. You know, to get the rewards and stuff, like you'll be close enough. Okay,
Yeah,
so I think
cool.
that, like, for you that'll be a better plan. And then once you figure out if you're gonna invest in this new archer, right? There could be a scenario where the new archer is just kind of mid, and you actually just stick with Herman YSG. Then you can actually come around and then William Wallace, and then it's just some combination. You could probably like Luce, William Wallace, William Wallace, Luce, and then like Scipio Alex or something as your 4th March. Like, I assume you don't have Guan, right?
No, I don't have one.
That's
I'm
good.
sort of slowing him through dailies at the moment, but
yeah, I wouldn't even. I don't know. I think it's pretty cooked. Like the silence, the silence is good, but it's just too many holes in his kit that unless Lilith designs a commander that specifically synergizes so well with silence, it's hard for him to stay relevant.
Yeah,
you know, and like, just for me personally, if you asked about debuff, would I rather have Alex's debuff or Guan's debuff, which is a silence? I would actually take Alex's. And since you already have Alex, I would just keep it. I would keep it there. So I would say like that's probably going to be your 4th March. Now, if you didn't already have that, I probably actually would recommend Cav as your second March of a troop type. So it's like one of each and then Cav, right? But infantry is actually in a good place right now. You know, it's like, you know, infantry mains, which, you know, I don't necessarily think, you know, people should be mains now, but if infantry mains have been suffering for a long time, and this is like the best place they've ever been.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so as far as your armaments, you said you don't really spend on armaments. What were you saying with that?
I just do the supply depot thing.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's about it for armaments. I've just been spending pretty heavily on mats just to try and get that 3rd set up and going, and then I can sort of shift focus onto armaments.
Yeah, I would say looking at your armaments, they're solid, right? Like, I get there's rainbow stats and all that stuff, but you have at least 4 inscriptions, and like looking at that, like they're all pretty good. It's actually funny because Crazed is one I'm not very high on because that's one you get rage, right? Every time you use a direct attack. I mean, but it's still like it's still a rare, you know. It's and then for Joan, right? When you do the Sacred Banner twice, you actually get that twice. Patronage, Pulverize. I think one of those two isn't that good. I can't.
Yeah, one of them's for a shield.
Okay.
But I think it's the Pulverized one. No, the Patronage one.
Maybe you get a small shield from Alex or Scipio or something. But,
yeah.
Okay, but in general for armaments, I'll say where your armaments are at right now. You're looking for, you want to save something for the future, where if you get like a high stat, right? So let's just say you pull and it's like a 3.2 archer health, and then 2 irrelevant stats, right? And then there's no inscription on it. I would actually save that, and then if you get one that's better, then you get rid of the one that you saved before and replace it with a better one. What you want is you want a high upside one in case you get an inscription. So then when you inscribe it, you already, like, provided the inscription is decent, you already have a decent inscription. You already have at least one high stat to start from, and then it's very, very easy to roll it into a good armament, right? So where your armaments are at, you want to start considering that, and then but be very, very diligent in cleaning up your armaments. So one, you know, you're maximizing your ability to get transmutation stones, but 2, you're actually simplifying the picture. So it's not like, oh well, do this or that. Like that's what happens to hoarders, right? Well, what if I need it in the future? Like that's literally what a hoarder would say. And then people start doing that, and they're missing out on so much. And like I'm I consider myself to be really good at armaments. Some of the people I know, if I had to go sort through their armament stuff, it would feel overwhelming to make that decision just because of how much they have saved up, right? Like
yeah, I've cleared mine out pretty regularly.
Yeah, perfect. So so for you right now, right, it's like it's almost like one in or one out. If you don't, I don't think you're gonna plan on running 6 marches, right? Just
Nah.
yeah. So I would actually, and I assume I think the infantry you showed me was arch, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's arch.
yeah. So I would actually start pulling arch only.
Yeah.
And start like looking to get another set of infantry, but also a set of cav and archer without like actively trying to build towards it.
Yeah, for arch formation. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
like it was like looking back now, right? And just because I was such a young player, I didn't really even know what was going on. Early on, you know, people with influence decided, hey, 5% skill damage is better than 5% normal damage. Let's go wedge.
Yeah.
Everyone started going wedge. But when I started thinking about it, 5% normal damage increase, never mind smite damage, right? Normal damage is basic attack and counter attack. That's the white damage, right? Whereas like skill damage is when you're actually firing the active skill. A lot of open field fighting is actually just pulling back and forth, right? I don't even think 5% skill damage is a upgrade over 5% normal damage necessarily, like if it's that big of an advantage at all, just because like depending on the nature of the fighting and with where the like kind of this game is going, right, at least for infantry for sure, you want to do arch. There could be so many scenarios where they go a different direction, right? You get like a souped up Attila, right, just like a normal white damage machine, and then if you have wedge, like it'll be like a hard to transition over, whereas I actually feel like arch is not only the safest way to go, but also I don't think it's necessarily like just worse. Even if for like a Nevsky Jones, like if you get the good armaments, like I don't think it's like that far off as people think.
Yeah.
Right.
Cool. I remember seeing a video from I think it was like War Daddy Chat or whatever, and all he runs is arch, and I was like, why is everyone telling me to go opposite?
Chatsy actually started doing arch from the very beginning. I think he only pulled arch, which is, you know, and then Peace, who was in our kingdom, like she went hollow square from the very beginning. So it's kind of crazy. She's just running like our marches of giant square. Yeah, but cool. I would actually start pulling arch only, and then this one, really, like if you are rerolling, you just want to get rid of the relevant stat. You know, like I don't know if you ever like watched any of my videos on armaments or like see me like coaching people on armaments, but like I kind of have like a number, and it's actually funny. It's not so much set, but like I'll have like a minimum that I want to take, and it's not 1.5. It's usually like 2.2 to 2.5, somewhere around there. I think it's about 2.2 or 2.3. If I get a stat that's 2.2 or 2.3, I'll lock it. If it's not, I won't lock it. Right.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I sort of sit around as well.
Yeah, and just so like every point that you don't take, you lose. Like it's 17% for scroll, right? So if I don't take say 1.5 instead of 17%, it would go down to you subtract 1.35%, like from that 17%, right? Just like that will become your new percentage of where you can actually pull the stat you want that's high enough. So like for me, that number is like 2.2 or 2.3. And then if I get it, I'll lock it. Let's just say you have 2.3 for like archer health, and then you roll like 1.5 archer defense comes out, right? You'll take it because now you have 2 stats. But then when I roll again, I'll actually only lock the one that I won. And then I would either be hoping for an upgrade on the stats. If I don't get an upgrade, I still at least have 2 out of the 3 stats. And that's kind of the general way I go about it. So like for you, it's like, yeah, you could like get rid of some of these, you know, you'll get like a 1.5 to 3.5% stat increase, but or you could just save it. I personally would just kind of clean it up. I just like my personality. I would like to clean it up and then save everything else, but I wouldn't actually actively try to replace an armament unless the inscription is a lot better.
Yeah.
Right. So let's just say I get another patronage, right, and it has like just better stats on it. I wouldn't actually go work on that because it's a trap. Because if it's the same inscription, right, the stats are better. Okay, maybe I could pull out like 3% better stats, which if you think like the max you could get is 10.5, right, and I could get 3% better. That's like almost 30% better. Like it sounds so good, right? But it's only 3% stats. Like the amount of transmutation stones I'll have to go into it to get that, it's just not worth it, right? So, and a lot of this is largely a function of what Lilith has done to the armament system, right? Like they even changed the travel where you get more, like you get more transmutation crystals per week. I mean, stones per week, where like it's very, very, in my opinion, inscription focused now.
Yeah.
Right. So special, double, or rare. And depending on which rare, then it's worth updating. If it's not, I wouldn't actually try to just upgrade a little bit of stats for the amount of transmutation stones it costs.
Yeah, cool.
Okay. Now, as far as I didn't ask this because I assume you're playing on PC, right? Because you said you're fired up on PC to talk to me. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah. I think naturally, this next KVK. You'll notice like that getting the 500 mil KP will be a lot easier.
Yeah. Okay,
even with 3 marches, I think you'll just notice it's like you'll probably end up like if you let's just say you get full fighting, or like similar fighting to what you had this like KVK 5. I think you'll notice like it's probably going to be around like 800 900 mil KP. And if you grind it a little harder than you were doing now, probably like 1 bill. Yeah. Like with 3 marches.
Yeah, sounds good.
Right, because there's just like that transition point of catching up with commanders, and you know if you're Jones 5515, like it just yeah, I think you'll actually just naturally experience that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, cool. That'd be good. I'd like to get a 1 bill KP. KVK would be unreal.
I think you do this next KVK, right?
Yeah.
With a spend, and then if you have 3 marches, and it's that with full epic, and you're doing like a 5551 Herman, and then by the time the next KVK starts, you can make some decisions. Maybe even upgrade this more. I think that's like, I think you could do that. If you're able to do 500 mil in KVK 5.
Yeah. Cool. That's good to know.
Yeah. So those are some of the questions you brought up and asked beforehand. Is there anything else like I didn't mention?
No, I think we've sort of gone over a fair bit of it. The main thing was just sort of the which path do I go in terms of my gold heads. So I think once I get that, obviously once I get Herman up, that'll be good. I'll just keep saving them, and once I finish this Archer set, I'll start working on probably a 4th set of infantry. I'm guessing just because I don't really like benching Scipio.
No, I know. I totally get it.
Yeah. And then I just don't really have the commanders for a 5th. Well, I mean a 4th being Cav. Like I've got Mina max, but that's sort of about it. So I don't know if I could run him with William or something.
Yeah. For instance, though, here's something to think about, right? I don't even know which KVK mode you guys are queuing up. Let's just say you guys do like stratagems, right? There's like 3 or 4, maybe 3. KVKs where you can do an artifact KVK. So new Archer comes out, and let's just say he's good, right? And you decide to pair him with Herman instead. Scipio YSG with YSG actually as an artifact behind Scipio is really good. It's really good. I actually used that this last KVK. That ended up being my 2nd infantry march over Guan Scipio, and it pumped out a lot of damage. So like you get one of those, you could actually use Scipio sooner than you think, provided your equipment's there. Yeah,
I just gotta get the equipment there. Yeah, I think I'll keep focusing on spending for the mats anyway, just to try and get that 4 set up, and then I can look at maybe doing armaments or whatever it is, and see once I'm at from there.
Yeah.
just materials are so hard to come by. It's such a slow process, but
Yeah, I would say for a player in like your profile, like age, the priority would actually be commanders first, which you're almost done with, right? And which is why like how many marches you're running, like drags out that timeline. So you can think of you're running 6 marches, right? This timeline for the commander is going to be a lot longer, but if your spend's higher, then you shorten the timeline. So like it's kind of crazy to me because you hear some people like you know, if I made a video, right? It's like quantity or quality, right? And it's like it's always quality, it's always quantity, and like the real answer is it depends. There's a lot of nuance to this, because like what kind of quality are we talking about relative to the competition you're fighting against, right? If you're doing low A, high B, the quality you're talking about is very different from like if you want to fight at the very highest level, right? And then what's your spend level, your activity level, right? Because if it takes you a year to get there versus if it takes you 3 months or 2 years, that'll actually change how many marches you should run, right? But like, there's the whole idea is like you always choose quality over quantity without all these other data points and then weighing into account like the different things that will impact that decision making. It becomes just very like I'll call it like lower mind, right? So our amygdala helps us make quick split second decisions, right? So you just need to do choice A or choice B. So a lot of times when we don't think about it, right? Like if I ask you, is calcium good or bad? Oh, calcium's good. It's good for your bones, right? Like sodium's bad, right? like it's actually a lot more complex than that, but we actually want to oversimplify everything. Okay, so for you, it's not just okay, I'm going to 4 marches. It's understanding why you're doing that, and then being able to make that decision for yourself. Like this is like really my wish, like for making this videos. You know, obviously I'm talking about Rise of Kingdoms, but I'm really at the highest level for me. I'm hoping that people that watch the video start being able to speak this language of like nuance and being able to actually take multiple factors and then let it make a decision making, and then really like gaining the not even the confidence too, but like the ability to just like, okay, this is kind of close, I'm just going to make a call and go with it, as opposed to just be kind of like frozen there. It's like, oh, I don't want to make the wrong decision, right? The fear of making the wrong decision actually is a wrong decision. All right, so what I said isn't even like you could go a lot of other ways. I'm just like, what I'm telling you as far as going to Archer and then like 4th March is, if I was in your situation, I would go that way. But if you wanted to be like, you know what, I'm actually going to do William Wallace first, just because I would rather have that percentage upgrade, and then and then from there I want to work on her. Like I'm not gonna like argue with that. Like you could go that route too, right? So so like if there's a big takeaway, anyone watching this or for you, I don't like, that's not necessarily even the best way. That's just the way I would go about it. But if you go another way, just understand the rationale why you're doing that, why you think it'll work, and just claim it and go with it, and it'll end up working out. Like with the worst thing someone could do is to just not make a decision because they don't want to make the wrong choice. Even if you made a wrong choice, even the momentum of like doing that and then trying to figure it out, it'll usually end up being the right choice anyways.
I think like what you're saying is what I was thinking of doing anyway, so it's just good to hear it from somebody else. I think the big thing is, I think, and me and I guess a lot of other people, they get influenced by like the YouTubers and stuff of what they're doing, where like everyone's saying William Wallace is amazing, get into him right now. But I'm like, when I sat back and thought about it, I'm like, that 5 or 10% increase on 1 March is going to be a lot less. Overall increase in my account over a 3rd or a 4th March is going to be.
The early feedback I've gotten from people that used them in open field, actually Kane's going to use them in 2 days, right? So I'll get more feedback from him too. None of the one-on-one testing I really even care about, just because like I mean, Lucha Alex I think is the best march in the game. He does okay one-on-one, right? And like, but like if you just use that one-on-one, like there's no way you could project how that thing does in the open field. Now, talking to some of the people that have used it in the open field, for say like a Ruins, the 1365 KVK is some of the people I know that are in that one. They say he's about comparable with Lucha Alex, like it's better, but it's like in that range, right? Whereas like I was thinking it's going to be clearly better, but again, I won't know until I talk to more people that use it, and then really when I use it myself. Like I'm maxing with Wallace, right? Like that's the next thing I'm working on, just because that's where my account is. But then I can
Yeah,
talk a
yeah,
lot more confidently about it. I think if that 40% apply to 5 targets, it literally would make that big of a difference. If it's only going to 1 target, then it doesn't actually. Um, you still ideally would like your 5 target AOE to fire off first, but I think in
yeah,
this case, that third skill actually just being so much weaker with Lucia primary almost forces you to use William Wallace primary. Like I like that, and then the
yeah,
smite, the rage reduction plays a factor, but a much smaller factor for me. But I think without using it, actually have to switch, and it's just the way the skill was described versus how it actually works in matchup.
yeah, yeah. I think the good thing as well, I've got a fair bit of time before we fight. Like we've got a
Yeah,
couple of months, so it'd be
exactly.
good to see
So you can sit
what
back.
people
Yeah.
think. Yeah, I think that's one thing I always off seasons. We've always been stuck doing long off seasons, and I get edgy, and then I start upgrading stuff that I don't need
Yeah,
to.
that's what happened to me. Yeah, but I think like
Yeah,
Herman 5551 is like for sure. Like regardless of what you do, like you're gonna get that there anyway. So you can do that now,
yeah,
so you don't feel like you're going
yeah,
crazy.
going crazy. Yeah,
Yeah, and then you can decide. Like I would honestly, if you sat back and then like a week from now, right? There's just way more data on William Wallace in the open field, and
yeah,
he ends up being just maybe in between what I thought he was going to be and what I think he's going to be now, right? Which is still
yeah,
just like best bars in the game, just got like 10% better. Maybe
yeah,
you'll change your mind, and that's okay too. It
yeah, for sure.
just kind of know the decision making process. Like if you know you're getting 170 gold heads a month, right? Okay, like how does this kind of fit in with my timeline? Will it work out? Um, and I do think you eventually still want to get Joan maxed.
Yeah,
I don't. Let me see. I've been waiting for the Margaret dailies to come out. She came out March of 23. So I think we're
yeah,
getting to a point where she's either going to be out in this cycle or next. I think Joan should come out before the Margaret dailies, right? Joan came out before Margaret.
yeah,
So you might actually be able to work on Joan through the dailies too. And obviously there's like events where you could select her. But
yeah,
at some
yeah.
point you want to get that done too.
All right, cool. Yeah, because I've with the events, I've been like sort of just like doing if I can do Herman, I've been doing him. Otherwise, I've been doing like Gohan and stuff just for the sake of it. But
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I haven't been going crazy into dailies, just because there's no one I need.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Like the last one I maxed was Constantine because I'm a canon nerd. Um,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
but after that, it's just been like, okay, I can kind of go YSS. I got to do, and none of these I realistically I'm gonna really use, or just where my account's at. Like I do need
yeah,
a leadership garrison, I think, but it's not. It's like very low on the priority list. So I've been dropping off a lot on that. The biggest opportunity in general for you is wherever you're weakest. So if your armaments are weakest, that's where you should spend. If your commanders are weakest, that's where you want to spend. Because like the amount of upgrade per dollar spent, you're gonna get the most bang for your buck there.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
So right now, it's actually commander for you,
Yeah,
and then it's gonna quickly shift to equipment once you get Herman 5551, because you're waiting, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, then I think once I get that set finished, I'll even like I don't think I might not even start crafting the full set till I know where I'm going and start hoarding those
Yeah, yeah,
mats.
yeah. You can wait. You can hoard the mats. You can finish your accessories. Because like right now, how many? I assume you don't have any. Yeah, you don't have any transmutation. I mean, iconic crystals, right? Or else you would have updated that
I've
already.
got two, so I can do
Oh,
that
you
on
do
the
have
two
two. Okay.
archer ones. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I was
Okay.
just gonna wait and
Wow, the
see. Yeah,
discipline. Okay. Yeah.
yeah. I only crafted those two archer ones, like a couple of days ago.
Okay, perfect. So you have
Um,
two. KVK, you get 5, right? If you hit all
yeah,
the achievements, and then do the uh, lucerne squirrel looking thing. Uh,
yeah,
um, okay, yeah. So then you'll actually be able to almost finish this with iconic crystals too.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
And
perfect.
I've got all the blueprints for my archer one. Like I've got the leadership pants and boots.
If that's the case, then I actually, if you have that long, and I should have mentioned this earlier, if you have that long to your next KVK, I wouldn't even waste my gold on the epics. You know, like the epics, save it up. It's just whatever you can't craft in time, then fill out with the epic.
Yeah, that's what I think. I'll just start saving them, and I'll see where I'm at if I've got enough to get.
Yeah,
another one.
If you are crafting legendary, specifically for this archer set, then I would actually do the. Wait, what stat does the legs give? Is it? Oh no, you're doing the health. Yeah, so you're doing the leadership pants.
And right? And boots. Yeah.
Yeah, so I would do leadership pants next. And then I would actually do the leadership pants next for sure. Then the boots I would actually do last.
Yeah.
Because boots, if you do a crit flame tread, by itself, it's actually better than the leadership boots. Right? The leadership boots, if you get an iconic in there, and you get the 2-piece set bonus, I think it started becoming like comparable. Maybe it tilts it slightly towards the leadership boots. So if you can't get everything done in time, that would be the last thing I craft. Like I would actually be okay with a flame tread. So I would actually do the pants next, and then from there, the accessory, actually the ring, and then weapon or helm. Either one of those, like you go whichever order, and then the boots last. That's the order I would actually do it. Just in terms of like biggest upgrade, deed, and everything else. And actually, I just realized you have a flag there. So by the time you're done with next KVK, you'll actually be at iconic. Everything else that's legendary.
Yeah, and my flag's at 50%, so hopefully I can get that to 100.
Oh yeah. Oh no.
Great.
yeah.
But there we go.
All right.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, anything? Let's see. Anything else? Your kingdom right now. I don't want to bash your kingdom, but I would actually help the kingdom grow. Like like do the best you can, because I think you're like doing leadership, and then also just be open to like it's in a very, very vulnerable time for the kingdom.
Yeah, for sure.
No, it's like a long off season. If it's something where you don't get a sense it's turning around, rather than putting yourself through the misery of going through a KVK where your kingdom just is not competitive and like they're just not really there to fight. Finding like a competitive kingdom to go to. And for you, I think looking at a competitive low A, high B would be ideal with your account age and KP right now. I think you could probably find like a high B that will take a shot with you.
Yeah.
If you, let's just say, like for example, if your KP was like 1.2 bill, it would open up a lot more options.
That's what I've sort of found.
Right, but like if you're able to like let them know, hey, like I took this account over and I got the 30 mil in this last KVK, it should be a lot easier. And like you do a good job of communicating where you're at, and I think that matters a lot for migration officers. You'll get a kingdom to take a shot with you, and the kingdom makes a huge difference. Like maybe I don't know about a high B, like depending on the spend, but like my VIP level went up about 60% faster once I joined 60A. I'm way more involved in the community. I was like not involved at all before, just because I didn't feel the pull to. Whereas this kingdom I am. So that's just something to consider. Like for my kingdom in KVK 6, the night before Pass 4 open, someone in leadership sent out a mail saying, "Oh, by the way, no one in leadership is buying tech. You can fight if you want." And like for me, someone that loves KVK, like I was pissed at the person. And like looking back now, what he said was actually true. And that KVK was a mess. Like we barely showed up, like we didn't really have a war lead, and then when we did show up, we got routed. Like it was embarrassing. It was probably a low point for me in
Yeah.
Rise of Kingdoms, like playing that KVK. Like looking, you know, I'm glad I had that experience because it really pushed me to do certain things, right? But like looking back now, like the signs were there. Like I should have just migrated out before then because that KVK was a lost cause, right?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's yeah. This is a long off season. Hopefully, we can see where we're at. But then, yeah, I guess we'll
Yeah.
have to play by ear.
Biggest thing for you guys to focus on is migration.
Yeah.
And how do you generate that, right? So there's some avenues in game now, right? You can post on the marketplace, but going on the official Rise of Kingdom Discord, going to the Facebook group, like things like that. Like if you don't have like a profile where you have like YouTube or things where you could just consistently get interest, you have to go that route. And the only way your kingdom survives is if you find a way to generate migration.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Which I think we've been sort of pumping pretty hard. So, and we've had definitely a few good applicants, which is good.
Because a lot of times it's not so much the leadership. It's not like, oh, the structure isn't there or like people aren't fair, like doing MGs, organized, whatever. It's that when you, and a lot, this is psychological, right? A kingdom stays together when there's enough people that believes in the future of the kingdom.
Yeah.
Right. And then the way kingdoms are forced to build early game is actually a hindrance to late game because you need more power. If you get more power, like being Imperium actually helps you with recruiting and attract people in the early game. But then you also get a lot of dead weights that aren't necessarily dead weights in the early game, but rapidly become dead weights like KVK 4 or 5. Rapidly.
Yeah.
Right. So then all of a sudden it's like, okay, you're kind of exposed, not just you, like every young kingdom, and then you lose those players, you lose the fighters that kind of would, like, you have to think like what mentality it is for a person to actually already be in the end game and then want to migrate back to KVK 2, right? Well, once you get back to the end game again, do they actually want to fight that? Because they migrated out of it for a reason in the first place. So you lose a lot of those players, and it's just like, okay, how do you actually prevent the kingdom from falling apart? Because your boat that your canoe that's taken in water, right? Like you actually want to cycle those people out, and if you can generate enough recruiting, and then you win a KVK or you have a good showing in a KVK, you could essentially stop that negative momentum, and you can start building from there. And where the kingdoms fall apart is the negative momentum was too strong, where like just not enough people were believing in it, and then once you cross over a threshold, you need a lot to be able to build a kingdom, right? You either have a really big name player that's like on board that starts attracting people, like a really good like YouTube presence or something, where you can bring in. Where else, like, what separates you from another kingdom that people go to? Like, why would a fighter that other people want to go to a kingdom that just died, or that's like starting near the bottom, right? So like, it's a very critical window in KVK 5 and 6 to figure that out. Like if you could stabilize enough or essentially get enough migration, and then if you have a good KVK showing, which there's so many factors, right? A lot of it is just on Diplo matchmaking, because you're not going to be the strongest kingdom probably. So it just depends on like how that falls. Then you can like make it. I always say, if I had to guess, like 1 in 10, probably on the lower side of 1 in 10 kingdoms in KVK 5 or 6 ends up making it.
Yeah.
Right. That's just realistic. And when I say don't make it, it just becomes like a chronically like dick. And there's going to be people that are there, you know, they're just happy with farming and, you know, getting the MGEs, building their account, interacting with the community. But for what you're looking for, like competitive fighting, 1 in 10.
Yeah. That's sort of looking at the kingdoms that are around our age or a little bit like younger. You can sort of see that a lot of them have started to drop off, and there's only 1 or 2 that are actually sort of competitive.
Yeah, right. And then the other ones are, you know, that you have a community that you play with, right? So the kingdom's kind of dead, but you know, you kind of joke around. Hey, how's your day? You know, you collect stuff. You know, maybe you'll do like Silk Road and stuff together. Like my personality, I would just quit the game. Like I want to always be striving for something to move up. Like I personally want to eventually fight at the highest level, but I don't want to just join a kingdom like there. I want to grow the kingdom I'm in there, right? Like if that's fun, right? That's not fun for everyone. That's fun for me. If that's not there for me, I will quit the game. So
Yeah.
So for you, sounds like you want to be competitive. You just don't want to fight the highest level, right? Like either this
Yeah.
kingdom grows into that, or when it becomes apparent that that's not going to happen, then you know what, you did the best you can, and then find a kingdom that will help fit that. Because like when it fits kind of your why, your goal, everything flows easier. It's a lot easier for you to log into your farms. You have any to actually do the events that you don't necessarily like to do, right? But it's kind of like part of the grind or the fun of building towards that. And you actually get to look forward to KVK, not be scared like, okay, like I literally waited all off season to get to KVK and then I get this, right? Like there's actually like confidence that your kingdom is also looking to do a fight. Like it changes everything. Like being in the right kingdom that fits what you want mid long term makes this game a lot more fun, but also makes your account progress a lot better.
Yeah, that's the big thing. Like this is a fun kingdom, and but yeah, I don't want to stagnate my account progression either.
And they can turn around. Like my like, you know, I'm always rooting for younger kingdoms to make it. You know, because at some point, you know, the top kingdoms, they're gonna die out. And one of the main reasons is I don't think they value taking young players enough. Right? Yeah. Like you just get the same retreads from this top Imperium to this top Imperium to this top Imperium, and every offseason they're way more likely to retire and sell their account. Right? Or if they hop from kingdom to kingdom to kingdom, they're not there to really help build the culture of that kingdom. They're almost like mercenaries that, okay, well, this older kingdom dies, so let me come here and, you know, I'll stick around until things aren't going super well. Then I'm going to go to the next kingdom, right? Like it's like that's not as fun as like having a core group that you're always building with, right? And like a young player that hasn't necessarily been fully recognized, but gets to join here. Like that's how you kind of keep the. That's how, for lack of a better word, that's how you, in my opinion, build a dynasty.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas if you take on mercenaries, you know, one loss, you'll lose 30% of them. 2 losses in a row, this top kingdom on the verge of collapse, just because they never were able to then like replenish with a player base that is actually there to help grow the culture. They have a bunch of mercenaries, and I see that a lot with the top kingdoms right now.
Yeah, I see that as well. Cool.
All right. I have nothing else unless you have anything. If anything, you know, a lot of people like a mentor, they'll just like ask, like send me a screenshot, ask a question, or whatever. So obviously you're always open to do that.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. No, I think you answered all the stuff I had, and it's definitely just solidified my plan forward, which was good to get.
Yeah, like I can tell you right now, like just from the way like you're very easy to like work with, like from just like hey, your request and you get it done in a timely manner. You send everything like you'll figure this stuff out. Like if anything, the big picture is just kind of trust your own judgment. More than what any YouTuber says, including me.
Yeah, I think that's what because I didn't know much about the game when I sort of came back. I was like, all right, listen to exactly what they say.
Yeah, because it seems like you know a lot, and it's just like having the confidence in like what you know, and then like and then a step further, right? If you actually understand why you're coming to the decision making, right? Like the rationale or the logic behind it, then like trust that over what anyone else says.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. And then now if you're not sure, then like okay, watch, like ask, or like you could try to figure out what's the rationale that person's saying and see if it makes sense to you. YouTubers say a lot of right things that are right, but they also make a lot of mistakes. So it's definitely not gospel.
Yeah, I'm starting to learn that for sure.
I've said a lot of stupid shit. Like I literally have to revise what I said about Lucia William Wallace. But I just don't want to I don't want to steal Big Kane's thunder. But like that skill change, I'm actually really disappointed that they took that direction. Because like why wouldn't they just write the skill better, like description wise?
Yeah, it's how it reads.
But like it weakens it so much.
I think that's one of the issues as well. There's a lot of ways how stuff's worded in the game that it's not actually how it's reflected in what it does.
But if you understand how it works, right, then you can make that decision for yourself real time.
Yeah, exactly.
So like I think for you, have more confidence in where you're at right now, because I think you know a lot more than you think.
All right, cool, good to hear. Thank you.
All right, man. Well, nice talking to you. Here, let me stop the recording.